how we get, more young people involved in a lot of our local efforts to help better our community, which is a lot of what I try to do with the work that I do in the community as well. I've been a member of the Millersville and Baldwin County community for going on over a decade. I went to Oak Hill Middle School, graduated high school, early college program, and I graduated with my Bachelor's of Science in Biology from Georgia College. So I've been in Millersville for a long time. I've grown to love this community. I was raised in this community. And so, I moved away a few years ago after I graduated, but decided to come back because I believe that, if nobody's willing to stay and help better the community, then, the community is never going to be able to get better. So, a few things that I do in the community. When I came back to Millersville in 2024, I co-founded the community garden, the Atlanta Young Community Garden, which we started. And since then, gotten involved with other community gardens. We helped start a community garden over at the Charleray Food Bank, which is on the south side behind the Central State campus. We've also helped to start a community garden at New Beginnings Ministry. They also do a food bank as well, and we volunteer with them on a weekly basis. I also co-founded an organization by the name of the New Vanguard, and a lot of what we do is dedicated to political education. It's dedicated to community work and dedicated to outreach to young people particularly, so that we can continue to contribute to the work of bettering our community. And so what I want to talk about today is talking about, hitting on the topic of how we get more young people involved. A lot of times when I'm in meetings or, get the opportunity to have a seat at the table in meetings like this, typically I'm the youngest person in the room, and I just turned 27, right? So I think that goes to show that there is a great need for outreach to our young people. And I would like to start with a quote from Huey P. Newton, which says that the revolution has always been in the hands of the young. The young always inherit the revolution, right? And for me, the word inherit here is important because it means to receive something, for something to be handed down to you, or for something to be left to you by those who came before you. Inheritance is a process that requires both an inheritor and somebody who hands it down. And so in this dynamic, the person who is usually inheriting something usually has no control over the circumstances or conditions of what they inherit, unless the people who are handing it down to them are intentional about involving them from an early enough stage that they can have input and responsibility to that inheritance, right? So the point that I'm trying to make here is when we ask the question, where are the young people, or why young people are not involved, we also have to ask who is going out to look for the young people, right? We also have to be asking who is intentional about giving young people a platform to be able to take up some responsibility in this work that they will inevitably have to inherit once the people who are doing it now are no longer here. So I would ask a question to, those of you in the room who consider yourselves community leaders, community organizers, any elected officials, board officials we have in the room. Ask yourself, what young person or young people are you training up right now to come behind you and take up the work that you're doing? Ask yourselves, what responsibilities are you creating, what opportunities, what platforms are you creating for young people to be able to get involved in these things that we keep asking for young people to get involved with? Because we don't have any shortage of athletes, right, in Baldwin County. We don't have any shortage of musicians. We don't have any shortage of kids who are interested in gaming. But we do have an alarming shortage of young people that are willing to get involved with the things that we need the most to make sure that not only our community survives, but that we are also able to develop the community further. And the reason that is because there is no platform or program for our young people to do that. Right? We always have sports camps. We always have activities with music. We always make sure that kids get all the games that they want. But what exactly has stopped us from creating political education programs for our young people? Right? Mr. Tommy French, I'm sure a lot of you know Mr. French. He always quotes Proverbs 22 verse 6, which says, "Train up a child in the way they should go. When they get old, they'll never depart from it." And so that means that for those of us who are in these rooms and these meetings, who have been doing the work in the community for 10, 20, 30 years, the responsibility is on you. And so when we ask where young people are, there also has to be some accountability in the conversation. And that starts with recognizing that there isn't a strong enough culture here of political involvement in the community. And there's really a culture of political indifference. And that culture exists because at some point, something went wrong. At some point, people lost hope that anything would actually change in the community. And that is the attitude and the culture that young people in this community have inherited over time. And so if the attitude of political involvement is not being instilled in them in the home, if it's not being done in school, and we don't have any programs in the community to instill this in young people, where do we expect them to develop that commitment to the future of their community? I tell people all the time, don't let the young people like myself confuse you, because not everybody has that innate, exceptional drive to be involved. And in fact, the truth is most people are not exceptional, and that's not a bad thing, because for some of us it is in our nature, but for most people you have to nurture that commitment, right? And so what we're realizing now that we're getting to this point where things are coming to the point that they are, is that we obviously for a long time have not been nurturing within our young people this drive to want to be involved in the community and not raising them up in the way that they should go. But again, this is something that happens over time, and it probably started at some point with their parents or grandparents. And what has happened is that people have learned to become comfortable with the conditions that we are in. Not because they think it's okay, but because over time they've probably seen that a lot of these conditions have not changed, if not gotten worse. And so a lot of times when you come to them and you're telling them that you want them to get involved in something, that we're trying to change something, unfortunately a lot of times they're not going to buy it, because they have the lived experience of seeing that these things have not improved. And so when we talk about things like our homelessness issue, we have to understand that there are certain things, certain conversations that we have amongst ourselves that we don't have out loud, right? We have to talk about the landlords. We have to talk about the real estate companies. We have to talk about the people in our community who own all of this property that are raising the rent above the level where people can afford it, and that is driving the homelessness issue in our community, right? We have to talk about the expansion of Georgia College and GMC, that is creating housing that is only affordable to white college students and not students in our own community to have an opportunity to stay here. And there are a lot of people who are in very important positions who are contributing to this problem, who are real estate folks, who are working with these institutions and these businesses that are driving up the rent. And so these are things that we say in conversation to each other, but who is going to have the courage to say it out loud? Because if you want to attract young people to be involved, courage is what they're going to be looking for. They're looking for somebody that is going to have the courage to address these things, because they are going to be the ones that are going to inherit this situation, right? Because the reality is that, a lot of them are not going to be able to afford to live in the same communities that their families have lived in for multiple generations. And so these are the conditions that we are leaving for young people to inherit. And so the condition of their inheritance is not one that they want to take responsibility for, because they see that it's something that's going to require a lot of hard work to fix in the future. And then when we think about the parents as well, it's hard to imagine that these parents are going to have the opportunity to be involved themselves. And a lot of them have to work 50, 60, or even 70 hours a week just to barely make it by. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the young people that we're looking for to be in the room with us, a lot of them are parents, right? I graduated high school in 2016, and I can say most of the people I graduated with already have kids, if not two or three kids, have families that they have to take care of. And so people are working harder than ever before, and yet we have more poverty than we've ever seen in our lifetime. The last time I checked the census, Milledgeville has a poverty rate that is probably above 40% at this point. And within the county, it's somewhere close to 30%. There's more food insecurity than we've seen before. We have more restaurants that we know what to do with, but people are still starving, right? And God knows how many children would have starved this summer had it not been for that summer food program getting figured out almost at the last minute. So we really have to ask ourselves, what exactly are we giving young people to look forward to if they know that they're going to have to work longer hours than their parents and not be able to afford as much with it? We're worried about, Trump being in the White House, and rightfully so, but they've been Donald Trump that have been running our community for 10, 20 years. And, we talk about, asking, why is it that they're passing laws that are attacking the working class? They recently just, tried to shut down the job board. And, as Mr. Ronnie mentioned, the for-profit prisons, right? The less jobs there are, the more crime there is. The more crime there is, the more they can put people in prison. And the more people they can put in prison, the more free labor they have and the more money they can make. Right? So what they're doing is they're trying to force already desperate people into more desperate situations so that they can make desperate decisions. And so once they finish, gentrifying our communities, they can build more homes and apartments for white college students and the people that can afford it. But these are not issues that we can keep beating around the bush about, right? Realistically, for me, I feel like we have 10, maybe 15 years to stop these things if we are lucky. And so, a lot of my conversations that I've had with Ms. Edwards, I've told her that I feel like we have to get more aggressive in our approach. We have to become more uncompromising. We have to be more defiant, and we need to build a much better local political infrastructure. Because when you get young people to finally show up, you have to know what to do with them. You have to be able to organize them, and you have to be able to give them direction. And if we're talking the same talk and walking the same walk, they're not going to stick around. So, it's nice that we're getting a water park in Baldwin, but I'm sure we would appreciate some rent control. I'm sure we would appreciate if our grocery prices, wasn't so high. And unfortunately, again, just speaking to the culture that exists, we can get 3,000 people to show up in Sparta for a trail ride, but how many people also know that there's a black community down there right now that's fighting a railroad that's trying to come and take their land and destroy that community? So what I'll leave you with is with this, and this close out my presentation. If we want young people to be involved, as I mentioned, we need to create the platforms. We need to create the programs. We need to create a political culture that is going to encourage change, that is going to encourage young people to be involved. The same kind of resources that we invest in our sports programs, we should be investing in political programs. I don't know how many more restaurants we need, but I can tell you we need some community clinics. We need more indoor community centers. We need more things that create a diversity of opportunity for young people to develop themselves and be able to be successful in their own communities. Right? We have a lot of really smart young people that come from Millersville and Baldwin County, but they leave and they don't come back, and they don't want to come back. Right? And so we have to make it so that young people want to stay and understand the necessity for them to stay and fight for this community. Right? And if we're not able to do those things, then we're not going to be able to get young people to be interested in local politics or in our programs or whatever good things it is that we believe that we're currently doing. So I hope that with my perspective and some of the things that I've said, it will encourage us to move with a lot more urgency. It will encourage us to be a lot more aggressive in our approach. It will encourage us to be a lot more courageous because, as the quote that I opened up with says, young people always inherit the revolution, so we have to create a revolution for them to inherit. And I promise you, if we do that, you will see a change in the culture and in the involvement of young people. So that is my short speech. Questions or anything you want to ask me or say?